Okay, welcome back. Before we do edit profile, I think it might be nice to figure out how are we going to show other people's profiles. So, I'm logged in as this person right now, but I want to view someone else. So in order to do that, first of all, we need a way to actually, show who the owner of, either an event is or a venue or even a post, but we don't have a post yet, so we won't do that. Let us, first of all, let's do it to, I think, the venue. So let's just look at our venue detail or our venue endpoint, which I'm in the we need to go backend, venue endpoint. So, okay, so we have the venue include, which is great, and the retrieve, let's see what this does. So this includes the owner, which actually is the public user include, which just includes user.include. The only problem with this is user include. We also have, okay, user info. Yeah. So the problem is we need the user info because we need their name and their profile picture, but we also don't want to have their like email address and stuff like that. Um, so I think what we could do, I'm just going to do it here first. We'll probably move it somewhere else. Let's just call it like public user info is going to be essentially the, actually, no, I think I just have to do it here. So we would take user info dot include. Now, what actually is this? Actually, I can do this here. We'll call it just like public user info include equals this. Now, what is this? Is this, it's a type user info include. Can I like remove stuff from it? Shit. Is there a way to, because what do we have in here? Like the email, I don't really want to be exposing in our API to people. The created at, that's fine. We want these things without that. Okay, include. Okay, let's just do this for a minute. Because wait, what is this? This is going to be a user include. Because then where does this actually get? Okay, we get our venue. We return that. Venue equals this. Dot copy with. I'm kind of thinking out loud right now. Owner. Venue dot owner dot copy with. This is like really ugly. I don't like this. User info. Venue dot owner dot user info dot copy with email. So email we would just want to make null. And what else? What else in here don't we like? User info. I'm just trying to find everything. We definitely don't want to include the email. That's fine. All that other stuff is probably. I don't want to include the, although it says the user identifier is required. Because user identifier, I think, is the email as well in our system. Let's just make sure that's correct. User info. Yeah, we don't want that either. So user identifier, I'm just going to make it a blank string. Okay, then we just need to do this. Do that. Oh, didn't like that. Okay. Okay. So this is not the greatest thing in the world, but basically this I think would work where we're going to null this stuff out in our API response. The other approach, which might just be better because we'd have to do this in a lot of places. Obviously, we'd make this like a helper function to, essentially make all this work. But we could essentially have their username and their, oh yeah, it's also like the profile picture is something we want and their full name. That is stuff we could like duplicate between our own user model and that one, but I don't really like that approach either. So we're going to try it this way. So let's actually make a static, and this will return what actually is being returned here. I think it's a venue. It will return a venue, technically a nullable venue, and we'll just have it we'll call it like sanitize venue with safe with public user. I'll do something like that. And here we will require the venue to be passed in. And actually, this will be nullable as well. And basically, we're going to just return this. Okay. So then here we can actually just go and do venue. And this is inside a namespace called include helpers, which I think is still a good word for this. So we'd want to do that there. And it doesn't really matter for saving because this will always be the owner itself coming back, but it does matter for creating. So that means we have to actually kind of map our results. So what is it? This will be a list of venue. So we could actually go final and we can call it safe results or something. I might rename that. And we would go results.map, which this will be a venue. And we'll actually call our little function here like this. And we'll pass in v and then convert it back to a list. So then our results itself, and what do we actually call this? This is called public user. You know what? Let's just grab this line and actually put it here. Oh, didn't like that. Why? What is this? This is a list of venue. This is a list of, oh, the venue could be null in these. I see. Maybe we'll just always make these. I guess we could just do something if venue equals null. We'll just return the venue that got passed in. Oh, wait, that can't be the case. What can I do? I guess if any of those things are null at the very end, we can just return the original venue. Venue.copy with. Or maybe this is fine. Yeah, that's actually fine. Okay, there we go. And then this, we need to just say, we can go, right here. We can say venue, return venue does not equal null. Then we do that, otherwise we return null. Okay, that'll solve that, and this will solve here. And then here we can actually just now use this list right here. Instead of trying to come up with a variable name, just put it all there. Okay, so that solves that. And obviously we'll have to do this in a few other places, anything that have owners. But I don't know, I could do a bit of doc reading and see, but I don't know if there's a better way right now to do that. But I'll do some more research before we commit to this and other things. Anyways, now we are able to actually get back our things. And in fact, we can probably just rename this now because we're going to do that sanitization. Yeah, because we were doing this here. Let's actually just rename this symbol. We'll just call it user include because we're going to do the sanitization after the include. Basically, like in the database query, it's still going to get that data, but then we're going to omit it before it hits the API. I'm also going to get rid of this, and we'll just use user include here. And let's just make sure we might have other references to this. Let's just filter by only errors. We do not. Okay, so we're good. Let's restart our server, just so we don't forget, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we have now a way to get the user back, and let's just test to make sure this is working. So let's go to our venue detail, not the screen, but the component where we already have the venue itself. Let's just do something. I mean, all this is kind of temporary anyways. Let's put it maybe after the description. So we have upcoming events. That's the URL. So let's do something. I'm going to have a row here. And it's going to have some children. And inside the children, we can now essentially use, we have something like a user avatar, right? User avatar component. And here we will actually use venue.owner. And we should, I guess, just check if venue.owner does not equal null, then we will essentially use that. So now we actually have this little thing here. And interestingly enough, probably just because we have to rebuild, we don't have a picture for them. Oh, we do. Yeah, I think we just had to get the data again because we made that server change to include that stuff. Okay, cool. So we have that. Let's also just put a bit of padding around this. Symmetric, vertical, 6 maybe. Maybe there's also some right before this. And I'm doing this because we're going to make this a reusable component. So I'm going to have the column here. Main axis size dot min, and cross axis alignment dot start. So I want to have like some text before this that says like presented by venue moderator or something, something like that, or maybe just moderated by. Yeah, something like that. And then right here, we will, well, we already have the row, so now we can just have some text, and we can actually use the venue.owner.full name. Venue.owner, sorry, .userinfo .full name. And that's something we can also check in here. So if it is not null and venue.owner.userinfo does not equal null, exclamation mark there. Oh, but full name I think can be null. Username can also be null. That's funny. So we can fall back. This is why I want to make this reusable. We can fall back to anonymous or something if for some reason they don't have a name. Maybe in this case we actually fall back to, we take the venue name dot name venue.name mod. So basically use, I want this to be username. So we'll use the full name. If there is no full name, we'll use username. If not, we'll use mod. Cool. And then let's actually do a size box with a width of 6 here, just to spread those out. Awesome. Moderated by. And I wonder, would it look nicer if actually we had a column here instead with the main axis side, both of these things, and did something kind of like, I feel like that might look nicer. So let's get rid of this, and then let's get rid of this column. And we can kind of do where we use like style theme dot of context dot text theme dot, let's use like body small dot copy width. I'm going to do that height thing again like we did in the last-ish video. And we'll do the same thing for this style of this. I don't think I did that one. And then let's actually just make this one font weight dot, let's do like 500 maybe. Moderated by. That's fine. We can make it prettier in the future. But now at least we have the ability to do something. So I want to make this, I guess this row right here, we're going to extract this widget, and we're going to call this venue moderator label. Venue moderator, let's just call it venue moderator component. Okay, we have our venue moderator component. Yay! This we want to move to its own file. And we will go to venue components, venue moderator component .dart, and get all the lovely things that we need. We get this from material, we get this from our app, we get this from our app. Okay, cool. So now we have this thing, and we will import it and make sure everything's still good. Now what we can do is, in general, we want to make the user avatar, wherever we're using the site, we want this to be something that's clickable. So let's do that. And then we'll probably recycle that to also make this whole thing clickable. Okay, so in here, we're going to wrap this with a, let's just use an inkwell, I guess, and have an on tap on it and just see how that looks. So now our thing should be clickable. However, yeah, that looks a little fun. I'm going to use a gesture detector instead, just so we don't get that little thing. So this is now clickable. However, there'll be cases where we don't want this to be clickable. So let's actually have a bool called interactive that gets passed in. And this .interactive will be true by default. But in the case that it's false, we can actually just do null. So we can go interactive, run this function, otherwise null. Okay, now what do we want to do here? Well, we want to go to our profile screen, and I don't know if we have that yet. We have screens here. No, we don't. So let's just have a, let's just call it user profile screen.dart. And we'll start by making a stateless consumer, user profile screen, consumer widget, and open up that. Let's get to our venue detail screen, just to remember how that works. So what we want to be doing here, similar to what we're doing on a lot of our screens that have dynamic data, is we don't want to be passing the user itself in. We want to be passing just an identifier of the user. Perhaps the username is a good place to start. And that's because we want this, especially in web or any kind of deep linking really, but for web especially, we want this page or this screen to be able to load the user all on its own just based on the URL. So we're going to do something kind of similar where we have essentially something like this. So I'm going to put this right here, and we're going to have a final string of username. Let's just make sure something in our database that username is always exists. Yeah, username, 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 cool. And we're going to require this username. Okay, so now let's go to our profile routes, profile or user routes, I guess, sorry. And we are going to essentially have another route here. It's going to look like this, but we're going to actually use the user profile screen dot route, and that will work just fine. So now our user profile screen, we should actually be using user routes.namespace. So it'll be /profile and then /that person. And then instead of ID, we can actually just call this username so we remember what it is. Username, username, and let's actually just call it username here as well. And this will actually be of type string. The reason I'm doing this instead of ints is we want the URL to have their username in it, so it's like /Tyler instead of /1 for multiple reasons. Okay, so now we have that. We have the route here for the, I need to also change this, user profile screen, and it is requiring something to be passed in. So for this, we again, like we've done before, this is actually context. We'll name them, and this is state. And let's just look up our venue routes again, because it's going to be similar to this, context state. And in here, we need to get our ID is actually username in this case, and we'll do state.path parameters, and then username. And this could be null, so we do need sort of like a fallback of just an empty string, which if that is the case, it's just going to load, I guess, the root screen. I don't know, but there will always be a username, so I think we're fine. Okay, so we're using that. Everything's good. We're going to get username back, and we have that. So now, let's just for now put some text that says like user profile screen. And actually, this should be a scaffold. So we'll wrap this in a widget called scaffold. Change. See, I imported widgets, and then we didn't have that. This should actually be body. And let's just have an app bar, just an empty one, so we can go back. Okay. Let's just close all our things, and we'll get rid of this so we can see. And let's go to our user avatar component. So if it's interactive, we want to do context.push, and we want to use our user profile screen .route. And here's where we would pass in the user. So we'd want to use user user info username, which we should have. Let us also just go if equals null. So we can check like if this is null, we'll just return and not actually run this. This is now awesome. So again, calling this route, we're actually going to pass this in, meaning this username will actually get passed to the route, and it'll be, it'll all work. I know I flew through that a little bit fast, but we have done this quite a few times. Look back on the venue detail stuff. Let's click this. Page not found. No page found. I think we might set the green arrow for this. We'll go here. User profile screen. We made it to the user profile screen. Okay, wicked. Now in our user profile screen, we obviously need more than this. So let's open that, and let's also open up our venue detail screen. Because again, we want to just work with this username, not with the whole user object for purposes of deep linking and everything. So we're going to do something pretty similar. We have final data equals ref.watch, and we're going to be watching something called a user detail provider, which we don't have yet, but we'll be passing in the username here. So let's make that. There's a couple things there's at least 3 things we have to make right now. One will be the provider called user detail provider .dart. So similarly, let's just open up our venue detail provider. It's going to be kind of like this. And in fact, I'm going to copy and paste it and just change this to user. Change this. There's a bunch of things these have changed. User. We'll call this user. And I am going to, we'll come back to generating this, but we actually are going to be using our user service provider. User service provider dot retrieve. Do we already have this? We do not. That's what we need to do next. So let's go to our user service, and we only have me, but let's actually copy this. Be kind of similar, and this will be called, I guess, retrieve. And in here we need a string of a username. That's how we're going to retrieve our users from the API. And here we'll just do retrieve, and we'll actually do retrieve by username, I think is what we'll call it in the backend. And we'll be passing in that right there. And I'm just going to get rid of these prints we don't need, and everything else should be good. To our backend, user service, user endpoint. We'll grab our me one, that's a good start. Yeah, we'll start with this, and let's just do something called retrieve by username, string, username. And we don't have to worry about the authentication info for this. This will work unauthenticated. And what we really want to check is the user row.userinfo. User info. Can I go? Row.userinfo.username dot equals, and then pass in our lovely username. And then we still want to include all that stuff. Okay, cool. So that should work there. Now we've made a change to our backend. So not only do we have to restart it, but we also have to run our generator because we actually made a new endpoint. We didn't just change the code within one. Serverpod generate. No database generation is required, but we will need to do this. Whew. Almost there, I think. So now we'll restart our server, And we'll come back here. And currently, I've found now the best way, after a lot of people have chimed in different ways to fix this problem, and it's because we're running two different windows, so the generation isn't picked up. What I've noticed, the best way is just restart the analysis server, Dart's analysis server, and it will kind of re-understand the code and everything like that. And this should become, once everything loads, this should become something it recognizes, and it does. So that's the fastest way to do it. You can also apparently run, you can obviously restart your IDE. That takes a long time because we'd also lose this. You can also run a pub get. Apparently that's helpful and works. But yeah, this, I don't know, restarting the analysis server, that kind of makes the most sense. Okay, so now here we can do this retrieve, which this should actually, if I'm correct, is this, wait, user service provider. Is this not within, wonder why that, oh, you know why? It's because we haven't generated this. It doesn't even know what ref is. It's like, I'm so confused. What are you talking about? So let's actually get our generator running here. So I'm just going to save everything. I'm also just going to get rid of this because sometimes when you run the generator and you have errors in your project, weird things happen. So we're just going to run this. I'm just going to do a one-off run because I don't think there's anything. I mean, we use the word venue here. We're going to change that, but it's not going to actually affect anything. We'll wait for it to complete. And there we have it. And then for ID, oh yeah, this should have been this username, and we'll just change this now because this is actually of type user. We're going to return user. So let's save that and let's rerun this one more time. Should have just watched it. I was too confident. And we can get this back now because as long as we import this, the user detail provider, which is this right here, and pass in username, we get our data. Okay, great. I'm going to save everything, and we're going to look at our venue detail screen again. So here on our profile, let's see, what did we do here? Let's do something similar. So we have the data. We're going to return the scaffold, but we're going to, for the app bar, we're going to do something similar where it's data.when. And sometimes we'll have data, which would be the user itself. And we'll do something with that. Sometimes there'll be an error. If there is an error, let's just have an app bar that has a title of like text error. Oops, I missed one thing. We actually have to do this. We have the error and we have the stack trace, which we don't actually need, and we need to return from it. For loading, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to have an empty app bar because we don't want to put a centered loader in the top. It'll be weird, and we still want to have that back button. So, and for this, similarly, we do this. Okay, that handles our app bar, dealing with the different cases, but I think I'm missing a thing there. For body, we'll do something similar, data.when. So when there's data, we'll have the user. We'll do something. When there's an error, this is where we can actually maybe, we have the access to the error and the stack trace, and we will just return, do we have like an error? Let's see, I forget if we made sort of a component for this. Doesn't look like it. So we'll just have a center child text, and we'll just pass that error through. And we have to convert it to a string because it's actually just an object. And then for loading, this is where we can, of course, have just our centered loader. Do I have a centered loader? Maybe I don't. Loader? Loading component. Where does this come from? Yeah, lib core components. That's where I was looking. Oh, it is there. Look at that. Okay. And I realized, yeah, we missed one thing here. We still want to return app bar, obviously, when there's data. And in this case, for the title, we can actually have text of, we know the user, and we can use user dot, oh yeah, this is what's kind of annoying, dot user info dot username. And then we can just fall back to, you know, the word profile or something. Also, yeah, if user, we should also just handle this. If user equals null, meaning they weren't found, let's just kind of return the same thing that we do for our error right here. Or we can say something like not found. We know that's likely the error. Okay. And we just have a semicolon there. And okay, then here let's just return something that says like text, we did it. And just for fun, let's have the user.bio. Oh, and yes, we need to have this check again. If user does not equal null, or sorry, if user equals null, we of course want to return, let's just have a center child text of not found. And then we don't have to worry about having that. And we can do that. All right, look, that just worked on the first try. So let's just rebuild, make sure it wasn't some weird magic. We'll go to here, and we'll click this person here. And hi, we did it. Hope you have anything to offer. Da, da, da. Okay, awesome. Now, what do we actually want to return here? Well, we don't want to return we did it. This is where we can return our profile component and pass in that exact user. So now we actually have this user. Now on the profile screen, I think we had this with padding around it. Root profile screen. So there was, yeah, some just horizontal padding. Let's do the same thing here. We could also just do that in the component itself. Yeah, let's just do it there. I think I'll do it on here. Let's just wrap this with padding, symmetric, horizontal. I think we did 16. And then we can actually get rid of the padding here and just return the component. And then it should look prettier. Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So now we have this here. Wicked. So we can click, we can see this person, and everything is great. All right, we're in good shape. We can see our own profile. Now, obviously, there'll be slight differences between this one and that one. One, we have like a settings button here, which we have to still do that. But that's fine because we're already kind of handling, handling that issue or handling that. But there will be cases where maybe we have stuff like an edit profile button like we see on the Instagram page. So we'll need to handle that as well. And we can do that, probably in the next video. So there we have it. We have users coming through. There's a couple messy things here, and it's just the nature, I think, of how the custom user and stuff works and whatever. But I think our solution's fine. And in fact, let's just test it to make sure what we're doing works. Let us in the user detail provider. I think that's a good place to do it. Let's actually print. Actually, here. Let's just. Where do I want to do this? Let's just, what is this? This is a user. I guess it doesn't matter where we do this. Let's just print when we get the user, print user, print starts as okay, I just want to test when we first get this user. I want to make sure in this case we're not getting the email address. That was the intention here. So we should see this print here. And okay, we have email. We are getting the email. That's interesting. Oh, that makes sense because we need to make our retrieve by username also do this this sort of thing. So let's go to our helpers. Good thing we tested that. So we had this sort of code here. We're going to make something similar for let's just call it public user, and here we basically would, I'm just going to probably rewrite this so it'll be easier. So we'll take we should probably call this user. We're going to return user dot copy with user info. And basically wherever we did that, we just need to now say user dot user info dot copy with. And here's where we would essentially null out these two things that we care about. So let's do that. Because yeah, we don't want, the email address to, escape. Now what's cool about this is we can now actually go user info. I think we would use venue.owner. I think we can just do this. Public user venue.owner. Venue.owner does not equal null. We will do that. Otherwise, we'll just send back null for that, just to conform. I think this right here. There we go. So now we'll actually just use that in here so that it's not as messy. And when we're doing this for posts or events or whatever, we'll be able to kind of follow that same thing, and it's a little bit cleaner. Okay, this will require server restart, and then we're going to wrap this one up. So let's test that same thing again. I'll just get this ready. All right, so now I click here, and if we click here, hopefully, email is still coming through. Why is that the case? User info. Oh, because I didn't actually, duh. we made the implementation, but we didn't actually use it. So retrieve by username, we need to actually, oh, public menu, yeah, we need to actually use this. So let's grab this. We want to return include helpers dot public user and pass in user. We can also do what we did before. If user, I guess here we can do it this way. User does not equal null. We do this. Otherwise, we do this. After this video, I am going to see if there's a better way to do this. It's kind of, one of those things. This is like Serverpod is relatively new in the grand scheme of things, and I know this is probably something on the radar. Is like, how can we like use the user info in like a public way or like whatever? I'm gonna do a bit of research, and then we might come back and fix this if there is a better approach. But this totally works. It just takes a little bit of extra configuration to make sure everything's safe. Oh, and we got to restart our server. It's still gonna be using the old code. So it's spinning right now because my server stopped. I wonder if it will catch up or not. No, I think just because an error happened. Okay, so let's rebuild. Let's go to our Harvey's. Let's click this. And now, where's the word email? I guess it gets, if it's null, it gets removed from it. That's nice. So yeah, this is just the print version of it. But yeah, there's no thing there. There's still a username. User identifier is just a blank string. We couldn't just null that because the user identifier is actually just required on the model. But it's by no means something we need here. And then, yeah, I think we're good. Cool. I'm going to leave it with that. Thanks for hanging out and watching. And I think in the next one, we're going to actually let you edit your profile. And maybe we'll add a few more things like pronouns or something like that. Because currently, we really only have bio and the built-in things. So thanks for hanging out. See you again.